and welcome to my channel. You are probably watching this Thursday, September 18th, which means we are about to see the closing weekend of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. However, I am recording this on the evening of Tuesday, September 16th. So if something insane happens tomorrow, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be covering it in this video. I will be covering it in my end of championship video, but because we're around halfway through the championships now, I wanted to go over everything we've seen so far. Plus, I had a video lined up for this Thursday, but we're in the middle of the World Championships, and it just felt wrong to release a video that wasn't about the World Championships in the middle of the World Championships. So I just want to go over some of the results and some of my thoughts, some of the things that I thought were surprising, some of my favorites to watch. Maybe if you haven't watched all of them, haven't watched highlights, I watched most of these live or as live as I possibly could. It has been hard yesterday and today because I have school, but I've been being creative. I've been in my study hall in the morning with Peacock on, dialed in, and somebody's trying to ask me a question and I'm like, no. The women's 100-meter final was happening. No, it was the women's 110 hurdles final. That's what was happening, and somebody was trying to talk to me about something, and I'm like, hold on, I'm dialed in. I'm so dialed in right now. You cannot. But anyways, with that being said, I wanted to get into this and share some of my thoughts on what has gone on so far. And I would be amiss to start with anything else except the women's 100 meters. It was insane. It was incredible. It was everything I hoped it would be. It lived up to all my expectations. And I'm going to make a more detailed video breaking down how my predictions went and which ones were right, but I just want to gloat to you that I got this podium exactly right. I didn't see anyone putting Tina Clayton over Julia and Alfred except that one person. I'm going to try to find the comment and put it up. That one person who commented on my video. I've not seen anybody else who said that before this final, but I knew, I felt it, and I have a reaction video. Maybe I'll try to put some of it in, but I don't think I can play it because it is not very PG. I was really excited about that one. But yeah, Melissa Jefferson won in the form we saw all season, 10.61 seconds to the win, followed by Tina Clayton and Julian Alfred, and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce 6th place, making a global final at the age of how old? I believe 38. Don't kill me for not knowing this. But yeah, her final championships, she'd announced this before that she was going to be retiring after this. So to see her kind of ride into the sunset and have that moment was really special. And yes, she's 38, which absolutely insane that you can still come 6th in a global final at 38 years old, and it just shows you how absolutely dominant and how amazing that she was. She had the most amazing career that I honestly can't even sum up here. I would love to make a whole video about it at some point, but that will take a lot more time and research because it was a long career. For context, her career is literally several years longer than my life. She was winning at Worlds before I was born, which is insane because I'm a whole ass human now. It's actually crazy. But that was it was an amazing final. So good to see. And then moving on to women's 100-meter hurdles. The Taji Kambunji, my wild card. And wild card she freaking did, because in a stacked women's 100 hurdles final, she just bursted out with that 12:24 to take the world championship, and her reaction was everything. I love reactions like that because whenever I see someone being celebratory or kind of nonchalant about winning a world championship, I always think, like, if that was me, I'd be a mess. I'd be crying. And, like, to see somebody actually have that reaction, like, is always fun for me because I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. Like, it's just such a raw and, like, real reaction, which is, like, so cool to see. But I loved her reaction. It was so amazing. Toby Amuson looking like she won the freaking lottery too, jumping up and down with that 12.29 for silver. Definitely a bit of a return to form moment for her. And Grace Stark also finding her way on the podium for the US, really great. Masai Russell having an off race and missing out, which was not something I was super expecting, but it's the hurdles and anything can happen. And Pia Swiatkowski of Poland, who made it on the last time qualifier and looked elated to have even made the final, finishing in 5th, that's just insane. That's just insane. The women's 1500, which is one of the most recent events that I watched before recording this. I was able to watch this basically live, and who is surprised? No one. Because it's Faith Kipyegon. I'm sorry. I should not swear. It's Faith Kipyegon. Like, we are expecting her to win, and when she did, I always, it amazes me because there's 200 meters to go, and there's someone, right behind her, like 2 or 3 meters behind her. And then you're watching her, and it doesn't even look like she's running any faster, and then all of a sudden you look at the rest of the field, and she's put 10 meters on them, like, in no time at all. Like, Jess Hull was right with her until the last, like, 160, 150, 160, and then all of a sudden, you can't even see it. It just happens, and all of a sudden, she blows it apart with a fast, but not, like, super fast 3:52:15. Obviously, she's probably perfectly capable of that championship record. Today was just a slow race, probably partly due to the heat. The silver, however, also going to a Kenyan, not on my bingo card by any means, Dorcas Iwoy of Kenya with I think they said like a 5-second personal best with a 3:54.92. 5 seconds. That's just insanity. And she just beat out Jess Hull with a 3:55.16. She becomes the first Australian to ever medal in this event, which is cool, but I know she was aiming for higher. Here's the thing, right, is that also I always get confused because there's Jessica Hull and then there's Lyndon Hall, and I know the difference watching them race. Just when I see the names on the start sheets, I always get confused. Here's the thing about Jessica Hull, why can I not find this anywhere? This is supposed to be, she is 28 years old. She is 10 years younger than Faith Kipyegon. The laws of physics say one of these days she's going to beat Faith Kipyegon. But, not a decade, I'm sorry. But she is quite a bit younger than Faith Kipyegon. One day she will likely beat Faith Kipyegon. But Faith Kipyegon seems to defy Father Time in every scenario, because I misstated a decade. I don't know where I got that number from, but she is several years older than Jess Hull, and she still looks, she ran a world record this year. That's insane. It's literally, she could fly at this point, like literally fly, and we'd be all like, yeah, it's Faith Kipyegon. What do you expect? Of course she's gonna do that. Like, it was quite crazy. Also, 4th 1500 meter world title. 4th. Making her join Hicham Al Garouj, who needs no introduction, as one of the only to have 4 world titles. 4. Also, Beatrice Chebet, her reaction tears like streaming down her face, so happy when Kipyegon won. That's literally girlhood. Like, I was like, that's like the cutest thing I've literally ever seen. Like, I love watching athletes be happy for each other and like lift each other up, and it made me so happy to see. And speaking of women's distance events, the women's 10,000, once again, who else but Beatrice Chebet? Who else but Beatrice Chebet? Who else? Like, it's one of those things where it's like you think the 5 and the 10 and you're like, it's Beatrice Chebet. 30:37.61 was definitely a slow race. As the commentators pointed out, the men's actually started quite a bit slower than the women's, but still kind of a slower race. Nadia Battaglietti nabs the silver, trying to hang with Beatrice Chebet and like almost doing it. To be honest with you, it says 30:28. I think that's a misprint. It should be 30:38. And then Gudov Sagai closed actually very well for the bronze. Agnes Nadich just missing out. That was such a good race. I loved watching it. It was a fun one. It was a fun one to watch. I just love watching the 10Ks. I know it's controversial because a lot of times they do start out very slowly. I didn't have a problem with this one starting out so slowly because it was so hot. There are some where I'm like, get out and get it. But in this weather, you really can't get out and get it. So I do understand that, and I always love to watch the 10Ks, even though I know there's people who are like, I don't like it, it's so boring. You're not fun. You're not fun. Women's marathon, Priest Jeptichir beats out Tigist Seifa. What I was really, really surprised about that, but the main story is Julia Paternine of Uruguay winning Uruguay's first medal and literally not even knowing she was in the bronze medal position, coming into the finishing straight, finishing, looking up, being like, hold up, what's happening? Literally going like this, with being like, hold on a second, and realizing that she won the bronze medal. That was such an amazing moment. Like, it cannot even be described. It was so amazing just watching it. I got to watch it live, and it was so fun to see. So definitely a fun race. The marathon is so hard to predict too, especially on the men's side. Literally, like, everyone I predicted, like, my whole podium basically DNF'd because, like, that's the marathon. Like, that is what happens. It's brutal. Women's discus, Valerie Allman. Not much to say. Valerie freaking Allman. Hammer throw, Cameron Rogers. I feel like we should play At Long Last as the soundtrack to this because it really is At Long Last. Wasn't even particularly close. Only one over 80. She threw 80.51. Second was 77.60, although that last round with the battle of the two Chinese athletes was pretty special to watch. However, it was the inevitable. And speaking of inevitable, women's long jump, Tara Davis-Woodhull just absolutely hammering the only jump of the competition over 7 meters, jumping 7.13, which is almost enough to qualify for the men's final. And we had, honestly, a really strong lineup. It was really great to see Mihambo kind of have a bit more of a return to form. I didn't have her in my predictions, but it was amazing to see her kind of come into her own more and kind of come out, because we really haven't seen her very much. So to see her on a world stage, that was really, really, that was cool. It was really good to see her in such form. Men's 100, Oblique Seville. I am just proud I had him on the podium because so many people didn't, because he's the king of 4th and 5th place, the king of making the final and coming up just short. And I was like, this is his time for a medal. And it ended up being the best medal, which just makes the best moment because It's something where it's disappointment after disappointment. It's almost after almost. And to see him finally get his moment, 9.77 for the win over Shane Thompson and Noah Lyles. It was so, like, you could feel the release, the, like, emotion, and, like, how hard, how long it had been to, like, to achieve that after everything. So I was just, I cannot understate how happy I was to watch him win, because he has always been a heats performer, and when it gets to the final, it's just never the same. And this time, he looked better in every race. And then the final, it's Oblique Seville, man. And it was great, and it was wonderful, and it was gorgeous, and I loved watching it. Men's 110 hurdles. This is one of those things where I made my prediction, watched the first round, and I was like, my predictions are all wrong. Because this man does not look like he is going to contend for this gold medal. Then I watched the semis, and maybe he has a chance of getting on the podium, but he doesn't look great. I'm not sure. And then the final, and he comes out of the blocks, and you're like, okay. And then he gets over the first two, and you're like, okay. And then he gets to mid-race, and you're like, yes, 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 yes. And you're like seeing him do what he's done all season, but we just hadn't seen it in any of those earlier rounds. And maybe it's because it was the rounds, but genuinely he just didn't look that promising in them. So to watch him, like, show us what he has shown us all season, it was just like, yes, yes, yes. That is why he was my pick. And I was so happy to watch it. Tinch ahead of Bennett, and Tyler Mason of Jamaica, who I was not expecting. I won't lie, I hadn't heard of very much. I had heard a little bit of some whisperings, but just not very much. So to see him on the podium, obviously amazing, standout performance. Unfortunately, the Japanese athlete Murataki just missing out in 5th, which in front of a home crowd is very unfortunate, but that podium, that is a strong race and a very, very strong podium. For the men's 3K steeple, oh my god, favorites can lose? Well, like, we know favorites can lose, but, like, Sufjan Al-Bakali losing is like, it's like if Valerie Ullman lost, or Faith Kipyegon lost. Knock on wood, I'm not trying to jinx them. But, like, all he does is win. I've never watched him not win, except in, like, the miles that I've watched him race, and I'm watching it and I'm like, why is this guy racing the mile? But Jordy Beamish, who fell in his heat, got up and won the damn thing, was like, I didn't even have to fall this time, and picks up a win for New Zealand, 8:33.88, really outdiffs Al-Bakali. I don't think Al-Bakali really knew how much space he had. I don't think he's used to people being right there off the final barrier, because Beamish just freaking powered through it, and Al-Bakali, he looked maybe spent, but I think he could have had something to respond, but I just don't think he knew he was there, to be quite honest with you. Because he came through obviously right behind, 8:33.95, and Sarim of Kenya, the youngster, comes in the bronze medal position. What is it with youngsters and newer athletes nagging these bronzes? Yulia Patterna in the women's marathon, also her 2nd marathon ever. So they're just coming through with an absolute mission. I love to see it. I love to see new people on the podium, and I love to see new people on top of the podium, which brings us to the men's 10,000. Jimmy Gressier. I I was watching this race. Like, I was literally, like, sitting here watching this race, and all I was saying the whole time after he won is, like, oh my god, it's Jimmy Gressier. Jimmy Gressier. I think that was, like, my actual reaction, because he was invisible the entire race. Like, he was there, but you weren't seeing him, you weren't looking at him, you weren't talking about him, and then all of a sudden, from nowhere, it's just like, boom. And that was such a close race. It was really, like, the last, like, 30 meters, and you're like, oh my god, it's Jimmy Gressier. Oh my god, he's in the lead. Oh my god, what just happened? Oh my god. And you're like, you can't help but be happy for him, especially, I have loved to watch him over the cross-country circuit. Still remember him, 2 flags in his hands, the most atrocious slide into the finish at Euro Cross Country, but I have loved watching him at European Cross Country. European Cross is, like, one of my favorite events to watch, period. I love, love, love watching it, like, so much. And so to see him come out and, like, just absolutely lay it down on the track ahead of Yomith Kajelcha of Ethiopia, an insanely capable, insanely talented, heralded runner. And then the bronze, speaking of the unknowns, speaking of the guys that we aren't really used to seeing on the global stage, at least on the podium, it's Andreas Almgren of Sweden, who, I'm not going to lie to you, I was also like, I've seen him around, I've heard of him around, but I haven't really, he was not one to watch for me. And when you look at his medal table, you will see why. Because he picked up a World Junior bronze in 2014 in the 800, a silver in the 2023 European Games in the 5,000, and those were his only 2 global medals or regional continental medals before this bronze at the World Championships. The race of his absolute life to kind of outlean Ishmael Kipkurui of Kenya, and Nico Young was also closing a little faster, a little bit behind, and he finished as the top American in 5th. But an absolutely insane race, to be sure. And speaking of people coming from nowhere, Alphonse Simbu, Tanzania, their first gold at any championships, outleaning Emmanuel Petros of Germany, Elias Uano of Italy taking the bronze. That race. So, fun fact, that marathon was decided by less than the men's 100 meter. That's insane. It's, like, so crazy to me, but also love to watch the marathon. But also waiting for a photo finish after watching an event for 2 hours is, like, it's torture. It's absolute torture. The men's hammer throw, Ethan Katzberg. The first 3 rounds of this hammer throw competition were, like, the most enthralling throwing I have ever watched in my entire life. It was insane. Mostly because Merlin Hummel of Germany coming out of nowhere with a massive 82.77 throw, which landed him on top of the medal podium. Then Katzberg obviously had that massive course record with 84.7, and Bence Halas picking up the bronze once again for Hungary with an 82.69. Insane freaking throws. Insane. And Canada sweeps the hammer throw. We were all hoping they would, because we all know it just wouldn't, it would be the most, like, it would be devastating if they didn't, because Cameron Rogers and Ethan Katzberg, both heavy favorites, and both delivered in a big way. Speaking of delivering in a big way, it's Hamish Kerr in the men's high jump. He definitely delivered in a big way, not without the pressure though. He had to equal his lifetime best, jumping 2.36. Woo Sang-hok of Korea took home the silver, 2.34, an outstanding performance. And Jan Štěfla of the Czech Republic, Czechia, I apologize, Czechia, Jan Štěfla of Czechia, 231 on the countback, got the bronze away from Dorsal Czechov for Ukraine. But Štěfla is one of those people who you're like, they might make the final, they might not. To win bronze, that is performing under pressure to the utmost degree. Like, I cannot even describe, and I cannot even imagine, especially in, like, the high jump. I don't high jump because it's too much pressure. There are many reasons I don't high jump. One of them, and one of the reasons I don't do any field events, is because the whole attempts thing is too much pressure for me. So, like, I can't even begin to imagine how these people do it at a world level. And you know, when we talk about throws, we gotta talk about Ryan Krauser, who, that man is like hanging on, hopes and dreams are holding his elbow onto his body, and he still wins this competition by like a decent margin over a very unlikely candidate, Munoz of Mexico, and then Fabry nabs the bronze. But Ryan Krauser, he's at like 70% and he's still winning it. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And to cap off the men's sports, we know Mondo, third attempt clearance, 6:30, the world record, and then we see his family, his parents, and then I think it was Corrales, Marshall, and Kendricks lifting him to the sky, like screaming, like so excited. I love the pole vault, like brotherhood, and like how close they all are, how they're all friends, they all are like talking to each other and encouraging each other, rooting for each other. I think it's amazing. Also, Renaud Levenu, we don't know if it's, there were some rumors that maybe this was the last time we will see him compete. 38 years old, insane for a pole vaulter, came in 8th in this final, but it was so symbolic to me because when Mondo was getting his pole ready, getting ready to step on for the run-up, he comes over and he's talking to him for a minute and he's like wishing him luck. And then as Mondo's doing his run-up, you can see Levenu in the background watching. And I need to know if somebody has like a picture of that because I just saw it on video. But to me, it was just like the most symbolic thing ever. I love symbolism. I'm a big English nerd, so symbolism's really big with me. But to me, it's like the old world record holder. I mean, obviously Mondo's broken it a billion times by now. But Levenu had the world record before Mondo broke it for the first time. So to see him watching as kind of the legacy of pole vault is taken on, obviously has been taken on for a while, but like to watch him see the world record he used to hold be broken once again by like this phenom, I don't know, it was just so symbolic to me to see him go over and like tell him good luck and then watch, and it was just, I thought that it was really cool. And I just love how friendly all the pole vaulting guys are with each other. I think it's great. I want more field events to have that. I know they all do, like, to a point, but I don't know. It makes me really happy. Also, I do want to talk about Renaud Vloon. He only cleared 590, but how did this man clear 590? This is not even the first time he's done this. Every time that man gets over like 585, any jump over that for him is just like I'm just gonna flail my limbs around and like see what works. Like obviously it's not that, obviously like he has awareness, but I don't know how he has that level of awareness, because like his foot is under the bar and then it's like this, and then it's like somehow the bar is like not touched, and it's like, it's insane. I really don't know how he does it. It's one of like the craziest things that like I have ever seen, and it's genuinely so impressive. I had him as one of my medal picks. Part of it probably because I just want to watch him vault, because it's, when he gets up there, it is so entertaining. You don't know where any of the limbs are going. I don't think he knows either, but somehow he clears it and it stays up, and you're just like, what am I watching right now? It's absolutely crazy. Like the amount of talent and awareness that takes is like, I cannot imagine. But I mean, it's Mondo. Also, 6:30. That's it's crazy. I'm just gonna move on to our final event because I can't even talk about how crazy it is, and that is of course the mixed 4x4 relay. Femke Bol came hard at the end, as we knew she would, but the US just had too much of a lead, winning gold in 3:08.8. I was really happy to see that after obviously disappointment at the Olympics last year. Back to seeing the US on top, with the Netherlands and Belgium surprising for a podium spot in 3:10.61. I was really surprised to see that they beat out Poland, who I thought would definitely contend. Great Britain and Poland were kind of my two that I wasn't sure about for the bronze medal, but Belgium came out of nowhere. It's freaking Alexander Doom. His name is so scary that everybody's just scared of him. That's a really bad joke. Wow. But it was a fun thing to watch. I love the tradition they have of, you close the first night with the mixed 4x4, you close the last night with the like normal 4x4s. I think it's really fun. But yeah, that's what's happened in the first few days of the World Athletics Championships. This is a reminder that I will be live reacting to the men's and women's 5,000 meter finals this weekend. You can find all the information you need for that on my community tab. I don't normally ask this, but it is championship season. Make sure to like and subscribe if you would like to see more championship track and field content. I have a couple of really great videos planned. There will be another recap when we get done with the champs, maybe one in between, not quite sure yet, but we will definitely have another recap of the second half of the champs, and then I want to do a couple of overall recap videos, a couple of ranking videos, a couple of season end videos, different things like that. Plus, we have our all-new Women's Track League, which will be opening up their run, hopefully more successful than Grand Slam. No, I'm still not talking about that drama because I don't want to. I'm a track creator, not a drama creator. Leave that to spill the tea and all them. They will be opening up in New York City on October 11th, and I will definitely be posting all of my thoughts and feelings on that, but I am so excited for it. European Cross is coming, everything is coming. Like and subscribe, stay in the loop, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!